Authoritarian internet models, such as those in China and Russia, are characterized by extensive state control, censorship, and surveillance. These regimes actively restrict access to information, suppress critical views, and manipulate online narratives to maintain power. They often create walled gardens, segregating their citizens from the global internet and limiting exposure to outside perspectives. In Europe, freedom of speech is highly valued, though not absolute, often limited to prevent harm. Free speech absolutism, advocating minimal restrictions while fostering open dialogue, creates vulnerabilities to manipulation, disinformation, and hate speech, potentially amplifying extremist views and undermining democratic discourse. While distinct from authoritarian models in intent and control mechanisms, it can be exploited by regimes seeking to amplify propaganda and silence opposition under the guise of free expression. The increasing threat of competitive authoritarianism in countries like Georgia, Hungary, and Slovakia sees exploitation of democratic discourses, legal frameworks, state resources, and media control to suppress dissent while maintaining a facade of democracy, creating an environment ripe for disinformation and eroding democratic institutions. In Hungary, Orban's government alleged undermining of media pluralism through preferential funding creates a distorted media landscape. The digital infrastructure of tech platforms can exacerbate this by creating information bubbles that spin public opinion and foster distrust in credible sources. In order to protect the integrity of its democratic processes, Europe has taken a significant regulatory approach to combating digital misinformation, such as the Digital Services Act and the Code of Practice on Disinformation. However, a more thorough and flexible approach to digital governance is needed to meet the difficulties presented by the newly adopted shift towards free speech absolutism by mainly the new US administration. The EU should uphold its existing regulatory framework and leverage it to address the challenges posed by free speech absolutism, particularly regarding disinformation and hate speech. The Digital Services Act provides a strong foundation for holding platforms like X accountable for illegal content. Recent investigations and court rulings demonstrate the EU's commitment to enforcement and data access for research. The EU should continue to champion a values-based approach to digital governance, prioritizing online safety, privacy, and accuracy. The EU's response should also involve international cooperation to establish shared standards for online content moderation. Finally, fostering media literacy among citizens is key to building societal resilience against disinformation, alongside promoting media pluralism. The incorporation of the code under Article 45 of the DSA strengthens accountability and transparency in combating disinformation. The rising threat of digital authoritarianism and disinformation must be addressed by democratic nations using a multifaceted strategy, such as improving platform accountability within EU regulations. Strict enforcement of the DSA and increased scrutiny of big tech are crucial alongside significant investment in media literacy programs. Despite the US policy shift, international collaboration on research, data sharing, and counter disinformation campaigns should continue through platforms like the G7 and UN. The fight against disinformation is not merely a technological challenge, it is a battle for global security and the future of democracy. The combined strength of international cooperation, a digitally literate society, and responsible platform governance is crucial to safeguard democratic values against manipulation and totalitarian tendencies.